I'm making breakfast. Let's see here. All right. Okay. Let's get this off to the side.
We heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota and the governor, the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota. This month it was announced that inflation is dropping at the fastest rate in more than 6 years. Walmart, Sam's Club, Giant Eagle, and others are slashing prices by hundreds of grocery stores. All of the stores, throughout the country, they're slashing prices, something that you haven't seen for a long time since my last administration. The stock market has set 73 all-time record highs since the election. That means all-time record highs, 73 days out of a very short period of time.
Oh.
And the typical 401k
the acting channel L6I. Hello, I'm making breakfast for Melody Studio.
$1,000 to it. It will be, we set the record in
May 3 says, yo, hello. Yeah, so this is like ground flaxseed powder. So it's ground flaxseed and chia seed with banana, and then I'm adding some crunchy peanut butter. Crunchy. It gets better. It gets better. Then I'm adding cashews. Oh, it's so good.
These tax-free investment savings accounts have already been activated by over 7 million children. These are investments made in our future, which is our children. Our children are the most important aspect of our future, with more being added each day. So it's a tremendous hit. Over 7 million, and really just got going, I would say, Scott.
Basically, Donald Trump is announcing something about Minnesota at the very least, and other stuff. I guess Walmart and stuff is doing something, lowering prices or something. He said it in such a funny way. He's like, I don't, because the Minnesota was blaming Iran for I don't know what, I forget what he said, if it was a data breach or something like that. And then Minnesota's like, we blame Iran. And Donald Trump's like, I don't blame Iran, I blame Minnesota for their gross incompetence. Yeah.
The timeline we're looking, I wish we had an economy like we have now, with the stock markets going up, but they will benefit by our country being successful. We're going to give every child a head start on the American dream. So go to trumpaccounts.gov. It's really something the whole world's talking about, and it's far ahead of schedule. Nobody thought it would be as successful as it's been, but it should be.
Black buck seed? No. Chia seed powder and flax seed powder.
With my most favored nation policy, you could say this is even a bigger thing if that's possible. On drug prices, we're achieving record discounts on prescription drugs. Prescription drugs were going through the roof for many years, and now we're getting record discounts with price differences of 300, 400, 500, 600%. Nobody's ever heard of a thing like that. And what this is all about is that we had the highest prices anywhere in the world by far, most expensive drugs, prescription drugs, and others. The highest in the world, the whole world was laughing at us. We paid for the rest of the world, we subsidized the whole world, and I said, we're not going to do that. And I started it in the first administration.
Psyllium husk.
Obviously, Biden wasn't able to do anything about it, because you had to get the consent of the drug companies, and you had to get the consent
I might not do a sleep stream tonight. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be here tonight.
40%, 70% less. So I had to call them and I had to get them on, and I said, if you don't do it, we're going to have to charge you tariffs. And they all said no at first, very politely said, sir, we can't do that. We're not going to.
Stormy Saturn, are you okay? I'm making breakfast. I don't know. Everyone has special needs, don't they? Thanks for the likes. Yes. Special needs child. Why not?
Same factory, the same plant, same laboratory. From $10, and we pay $130. I said, no. Now the world is a bigger place, so it's not as bad as it sounds to them. So they went up to 20, and we came down to 20. So we now have the lowest drug prices anywhere in the world. We're tied with the lowest. We're basically
almost ready to mix it up. Get some cacao powder. Oh yeah. Why am I licking everything? Because I can. It tastes good. Why would I waste it? What else should I do? Go wash my hands off? I'm sitting. It's peanut butter. Why not? And then some hemp. Hemp hearts. And now the cashews. Ah, so good. Oh, wow.
Something also, and I'm going to charge you very substantial tariffs, which are far more than we're talking about. And they all said, we'd love to do it. We'd love to do it. It'd be a great honor to do it. So nobody else would do this. This would have never happened. So your drug prices.
Okay, actually, I'm going to get a glass of water because I didn't have a drink of water today yet. And then I'll let the psyllium husk absorb the moisture so it bulks up a little bit. It is crunchy peanut butter, 2 mashed bananas, chia seed powder, flaxseed powder, cashews, blackstrap molasses, cacao powder, what did I say? Psyllium husk. Yeah, crunchy peanut butter. Yeah, it's really good. 30% cashew. That's actually what it's called, 30% cashew. Okay, but I'm gonna grab some water. Definitely grabbing water. because I didn't have any yet today.
1/8 of a point. Now we're talking about 400, 500, 600%. I mean, the lowest drug prices in the world are the highest. So, I'm saying again because the press is reporting, the fake news is reporting. They don't want to talk about it. What that does for healthcare, Bobby, is unbelievable. Because medicine's a big part of it. So I wish that people would understand that, and I hope they're going to vote for us in the midterms because you'll see some stuff that will be horrible because they can blow it very fast if they don't know what they're doing. So your drug prices are great. You know, I saw Spain yesterday, and I watched the catastrophe that took place. It looks like an invasion of a country. I mean, hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse. Much bigger, much easier to get into, despite the fact that we have built thousands of miles of wall, which I said we were going to do, but we didn't have that together. We have the safest border in the world. If we're not in office, our country will be invaded at levels that made Spain look like a small guy. And when I watched it, I said, boy, I'm going to say it because I knew you were going to be at Camp David. I said, that's going to be a talking point for the midterms. Because when you look at what happened to Spain, they don't know what to do. And it's happening again today. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law. They passed a couple of laws, and people read. You know, people are smart. They read from other countries, and they swam that 3-mile swim, or however they got in, but nobody's seen anything like it. That will look good compared to what's going to happen to the United States. The biggest thing, the worst thing that Biden did is allowing 25 million people into our country. Because many of those people are criminals. They're murderers. A lot of them, 11,888. A lot of them are gone now. We got them out. But they allowed people to come into this country that you can't allow to come into a country. We're also making an unprecedented investment in the United States Armed Forces, where we're doing great. We rebuilt the armed forces. We rebuilt our military in my first term, but we are doing great with our military. They spent a lot of money in our military. They gave away $300 billion worth of ammo and everything else in Biden's term, but we're building it up fast, and we just have a great military. That's all there is to it. But we rebuilt it in my first term, and we're using it in my second term with Venezuela and other places, and Iran now. Iran is doing very poorly, just in case you read incorrect stories. They're doing very poorly. They're having a hard time. They've been very dishonest. They've been very dishonorable to deal with. But that makes no difference. They're doing very, very poorly. We're also making that investment and looking forward to getting $1.5 trillion next year. People see now how important it is. We want to keep a safe country. We have to keep a safe country. And the good news is all of that equipment is made in the USA. So we're making it here. It's jobs. And each one of our defense groups are building literally at least 4 new massive plants as we speak. Because we want them to go fast. We have the best equipment in the world, but we want them to go fast. We don't want to wait a year or a year and a half. We want to wait a week, maybe.
Wait. Yeah.
Nobody's ever seen before. And we've had tremendous success, and our military was just proud of it. Again, Venezuela was a one-day war, and we have a great relationship with Venezuela. We're working with partners with Venezuela now, taking out tens of millions of barrels of oil, and going to Houston, going to Alaska, going to Louisiana, going to different places for refineries, and it's been very much amazing. The administration has done more in 18 months than most administrations have done in 8 years if you had a 2-termer. We've done more in 18 months than anyone's ever seen before. Nobody's ever seen. This is the golden age of America. And we have a war that's going on. As you call it a war, maybe I call it a military operation.
I hope Ann Coulter is the president of the United States someday soon.
Their air force has been obliterated. They have no planes. Their missiles have been largely, they have some left. They have some have far fewer than they had 4 or 5 months ago. The manufacturing capacity is almost gone. The drone capacity is almost gone. Very few, but they have some. They have one. That's too many as far as I'm concerned. But we've done an amazing job with Venezuela. We've done an amazing job here. We're in there for 5 months, and I know people like to say because we're doing a much bigger job, much more important job than we originally anticipated. So we're in there for 5 months, and if you look at Vietnam, they were in there for 20 years. You look at Afghanistan, they were in there for many years. You look at any one of the wars, Korea, any one of them, they're in there for many years. We're in for 5 months, and we have obliterated their military capacity. Again, they've got some left, but soon they won't have some left. So I just want to thank everybody around this table. You've been very successful. I want to thank a lot of the media people because many of you have been very, very fair. It's one of the reasons you're here, frankly. But you've been very fair. You've covered me this time much more fairly, I think, than the first term. The first term was a great success. We had the greatest economy in history in the first term, and this term is going to blow it away. I think this term is going to actually blow it away. So it's an honor to have you, and I'd like to ask our great Vice President, J.D. Vance, to say a few words, followed by Marco and Pete and Scott and Bobby Kennedy. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. Please.
Well, great. Thanks, Mr. President. First of all, thanks for having us at this historical and beautiful place. And it's an honor to be on the team, an honor to be able to work on fraud, which is what I want to talk about today. I know we have a lot of things going on. This has been an amazing team. From Kelly Loeffler at SBA, to Doug at the VA, to Todd and Bobby Kennedy. This really has required a whole administration approach to try to tackle fraud. There are a few things that I want to talk about and celebrate. The first is that just since the beginning of the fraud task force that I started under the president's leadership and direction, we have identified $230 billion of fraud that's being perpetrated against the American people, and we have halted already $56 billion of that. It's sometimes hard once the money has already gone out the door. It's hard to get it back, but stopping it from going out the door is how we save the American people. $56 billion, and of course we're going to keep on working on that. Just today, Mr. President, we will announce 17.
A lot happened in the world of AI over the last few weeks, and I'm going to break down what I think mattered. Let's start with the biggest model release of last week that didn't make last week's video. If you've watched my channel for a while, you know I record on Thursdays and then publish on Fridays. Claude Opus 5 came out on Friday, like 5 minutes after my news video went live. And since it's been out for a week now, you've probably heard all about it, but here's the quick recap. On a lot of benchmarks, it's actually better than Fable 5. Terminal coding, knowledge work, novel problem solving, agentic search, computer use. And this is funny because agentic coding is currently winning by 5.6 soul, but they didn't use the same color. They had to put a faded gray behind it. And so for the most part, it's pretty on par with Fable 5 performance according to the benchmarks. Really the major difference is the cost to use it. So you get almost Fable level performance at a lot lower cost. So if you're using Opus 5, you're going to hit your rate limits a lot slower than if you were using Fable 5, and theoretically you're going to get close to a similar result that you would get with Fable 5. So if you're going by benchmarks alone, it's a model that's about as good as Fable 5, but a lot more efficient and cheaper to use. However, it seems to be only good at one thing from almost everything I've seen, which we'll get to in a minute. If we're going by the overall vibes of this product, well, they haven't been great. It was pretty good when it first launched, but recently it's gotten ridiculously dumb. It's so bad. 4.8 and Fable for me. I'm back to using Opus 4.8. Feels way better. Opus 5 could be one of the first regressions in modern LLM history. It's rather verbose and scattered in thinking, not pleasant at all for knowledge work. Opus 5 is pure garbage. The thing I can't stand is its personality. It's like it has ADHD and it's really hard to read. It feels like I have to spend a lot of time actually reading the responses and trying to push the work forward. It's exhausting. Theo says, I do not like Opus 5 as much as I'd hoped to. It goes too far. It makes dumb mistakes. It treats every single comment as a P0 high severity issue that needs thousands of lines of code to fix. This is easily the most annoying model I've ever used. It never answers the actual question you ask it. Claude Opus 5 is clearly a downgrade from Opus 4.8. It feels nerfed, not upgraded, which is worse. Opus 5 seems like a remarkable downgrade compared to 4.8. Even a mod stock here got in on the action and says the gaps are really, really weird. It also doesn't read whole papers properly for me. You get the idea. Most people are not really liking Opus 5. Now, I did mention that it is seemingly really good at one thing, and it actually seems to be almost better than Fable at this one thing, and that's at creating games that actually look really, really good. Chris here shows off a side-to-side example. We can see what Opus 5 generated on the top here and what Opus 4 just a year ago generated on the bottom there. When it comes to the quality of the graphics that it can create, this is both 3JS graphics, and it's just gotten so much better at that. Here's another example from Chubby, where the graphics graphics just look absolutely amazing, like really, really good. When I say this looks like a AAA game, I mean, if you look closely, there's definitely some issues, but it is borderline like AAA game looking these days, and Opus 5 seems to be uniquely capable of doing this for some reason. Here's another example from Matt Schumer. He says Claude Opus 5 one-shotted this game. Now, the game does actually have sound effects as well as they're playing. I'm just muting them so I can talk over this video, but he basically gave it a prompt to generate a Call of Duty clone and to make it look AAA, and this is the game that it generated with just one prompt. He just let it go for hours, and it came back with this. And yeah, I mean, it's really, really impressive at these like game creation, good, decent graphics. One thing I do about what Matt Schumer did is he actually shared the prompt, which spun off a whole bunch of people creating their own version of games that look really, really good. James Altucher here even posted his own version using the exact same prompt and got a pretty similar, decent looking result. But again, Matt shared this prompt. He put it right up here on GitHub. I'll make sure it's linked in the description so you can check it out as well. And if I learned anything from his prompt, it's that you really need to use the word utterly a lot in your to make it work well. It should be utterly perfect so that the game is utterly perfect. Don't stop until you're utterly wow. Do it in 3JS until it's utterly perfect. So if you're wondering why your games haven't looked amazing in the past, it's because you're just not using the word utterly enough. So of course, I wanted to test this, and I grabbed this exact prompt here, except instead of saying create a first-person shooter at the level of Call of Duty, I gave it the identical prompt, but a fantasy game at the level of Elden Ring, which I think is even a step above Call of Duty. Now, I happen to be trying to test this when Anthropic was in the middle of an outage, so you can see that I asked it quite a bit and started to get impatient because it was having all sorts of server errors, and then eventually it worked for me. It worked for roughly 11, 12 hours, something like that. I actually prompted it and then went to bed, and then the next day it had been working for 10 hours when I checked in on it, and I would say it went another couple hours after that. So this was all in Opus, and let's go ahead and see what it created. All right, so we've got Ashen Realm. This is what it created. It's got audio. I'm going to mute the audio for now so we can actually talk about this here. And, you know, it's not amazing. The controls are actually reversed. When I hit right, he goes left, and when I hit left, he goes right. The forward and backwards work. The mouse to move the camera around works, so it's really difficult. The left and right is reversed, which makes it kind of a mind-messing game. And I also can't tell if my attacks are actually doing anything on these guys. All right, I'm going to run away from these guys because I think what this did impressively well was make something that looks good. Now, I can run right through rocks, which is not amazing, but if we look at the world that we're in, this actually looks really impressive for a vibe-coded game with Opus 5. Like, look at those mountains out in the distance. Look at the trees. It looks pretty beautiful, honestly. It's really, really, really impressive, the graphics it got. The gameplay itself still really, really sucks. Like, I don't think my attacks are hitting. My character just kind of looks like a blob with a sword that's going the wrong direction. The enemies just look like sort of cubes, but the environment that it built, like, this is all just 3JS, and it is blowing my mind that we can do this. Apparently, I can just walk through the water with no issues and then go under the water and run normally. This was only one prompt. This was definitely a one-shot prompt. I have not given any other instructions on this, but the world that it made, really impressive. Now, I needed to test if this was more the doing of the prompt or the actual model. So I actually gave the exact same prompt, word for word, to 5.6 Soul Ultra to see if it would create something as good. That would tell me, is Opus 5 really good, or was it just a really good prompt? And so I one-shotted it, and it made Veil of Astera. And here's the version that GPT made. Let's go ahead and begin the pilgrimage here. Not nearly as great of graphics. This is more what you expect out of 3JS, although it is a lot better than what I was getting in the past. So I do think the prompt was doing some decent heavy lifting. The textures on these rocks look good. My characters look good, but I mean, the castles and the mountains just nowhere near the detail of that other game. The controls actually feel proper on this game. Left and right actually go left and right. So I think the combination of a really good prompt plus Opus 5 does really well. And this one actually seemed to like do damage when I attacked this guy. I just killed him. So GPT 5.6 made a game that feels much more playable than the other one. Opus 5 made a game that looks more visually impressive. Although I'd argue my character in this game looks more impressive than the character that Opus 5 made. And of course, you know I was going to test creating a Megabonk clone with Opus 5. This is what Opus 5 built when I created Megabonk. It's okay. I can't actually, control the camera. It's a very fixed camera angle, but the game seems to work. If I kill the characters and get some XP, I level up here. Now these characters are easier to kill. I level up. I can get another weapon here. Now I have a little drone that flies around and also shoots at the bad guys for me. And yeah, I mean, it's just as fun and addictive as you'd expect a game like this to be. Although just asking it to make a Megabonk clone without all of the utterlies, I think is causing it to just not be as good of graphics. And of course, I'm going to run it through Busey Bench. Here's the two images Busey Bench generated, one with Claude Opus 5, one with Opus 5 Fast. Interestingly, Fast cost $1.25 to generate this and took 1:43, where just the plain Opus 5 only cost 49 cents, but took 4 minutes and 20 seconds to draw this beautiful Busey here. And our leaderboard here, which does use an LLM as the judge.
Alrighty. Well, I'm done. Okay. Well, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Especially thank you for commenting because it gives me something to work with. And yeah, I'll see your comments in the next stream. Thank you for joining. Bye.